All right, here we are back again, and today we are talking about the lady palm, also known as the rafis palm, and things you need to know about it. This is a beautiful lady. For you ladies out there, it'll make you feel even more like a lady, and the reason is because it is such a versatile plant, very flexible. It's able to go indoors and outdoors. It's able to take bright light and low light. It's able to adapt to any environment that you want to put this lady in. So before I get on to the rafis or the lady palm, give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and watch out for more of my future content as we go more into tropicals, exotic plants, and things of that nature. And back to the rafis palm. So what I love so much about this plant is, well, let's get this out of the way. Not the price tag. The price on these, that's the only downfall to this plant. These are expensive. The reason is because they grow very slow. They're very sought after. Some will come from or are grown in Hawaii, and the other ones are actually grown in Florida. The Hawaiian grown, they're going to be in like a pumice or like a lava rock, and the Florida, they're going to have potting soil, and that's maybe the way to tell the difference. So with that being said, let's go into soil a little bit before I tackle light and humidity and all that other jazz. Soil, they really need a good, well-draining soil. They want to have something that's going to dry out quick. Reason is because it's a rhizomatous. It comes from a rhizome, which is like a root system that grows horizontally in the soil, and the more it does, shoots will pop up and widen the plant. It'll kind of make babies this way. And with that being said, that's a great plant to propagate by division. You can pull it out, break it into pieces delicately, and you have a new plant. This one, I'm not going to do that anytime soon. I actually lost a couple of my stems over the winter, probably just due to irregular watering and humidity. I've kind of got it dialed in. I've only had this plant for maybe like 6 months. I got it on sale. It was a great deal, and I thought I'd sweep it up. And I mean, it's really done great. It's just lost a couple stems here, and I've cut off a lot of the brown. But what I want to say is that it really likes to dry out. The soil likes to dry out. So a pro tip is mix a potting soil 50-50 with a cactus soil. You could do that, or some people use potting soil and orchid bark mix. Just the idea, perlite is another good one to amend a potting soil with. The idea is to have it be very kind of coarse, and so that water will freely drain through it. Once again, you really want to make sure that this palm doesn't stay wet. Almost the opposite of many other palms, like the Majesty palm that loves all the water you can give it, because a Majesty palm in Madagascar sits in the soil next to riverbeds, so they're wet all the time. Not this one. This one is very, very prone to root rot, and that's possibly why I lost my other stems. I don't think that's what it is. I think it was just low humidity and things of that nature. So why don't I talk about humidity and this palm? You're definitely going to want a medium level of humidity. Right now I have my humidimeters that are reading me feedback every day, and right now I'm at 50% humidity. So all of these tropicals are loving that. But you definitely don't want your humidity dipping below 20. That's the danger zone for something like this. But you can get away with a slightly below average humidity with this one. The one thing you will notice is if your humidity is too low, you're going to start seeing browning on the leaves, and that also can signify that it's drying out too much. So why don't I go on to water? Watering, once again, it's not going to like to stay very wet very long. I've been watering, and this is not gonna be the same for you. I've been watering this about every week and a half. Is kind of the sweet spot I've found for it, because it's right now in a that's a 10-inch pot, and so I want to make sure it's dried out the first 1 to 2 inches of soil before I water again. Really important. I have this hoisted up. There's a pebble tray below it that adds more humidity, but in addition to that, there's a little, like a saucer that's flipped upside down, that helps keep it off of the base of the bottom saucer, or the basin that all the water is being caught in, so that it doesn't sit in water. Super important for you to note about that in this plant. But watering, definitely just let it dry out some. It could go a little drier than the top 2 inches, and it should be just fine. You will start to know once again, you'll start seeing browning on the tips, which generally will signify that it's rather being left dry too long, or it's not getting enough humidity. If you're watering too much, you're going to see yellowing in the leaves, which is signifying that it's staying wet for too long, or you're going to find out the hard way and you'll see that some of these stems are rotting out. Please don't let that happen, because this is a pricey plant and I would hate to see those investments go to waste. So why don't we talk about indoors versus outdoors? So I have it indoors right now, and I've really kind of been grappling in my mind with, am I going to put this outside it's springtime now. Am I going to put it outside, or am I going to leave it in? I haven't had it outside last year. I think I'm going to try my luck and put it in a bright but indirect sunlight outdoors. As long as my nighttime temperatures are above, I really want to have it above 60. I don't want to chance it and shock it by exposing it to nighttime temperatures that are below 60, really. I mean, 50 is kind of pushing it for a tropical plant like this. It can take it, yeah. I just don't want to put it through all of that. So I'm going to wait a while. I'm going to probably wait till April, maybe even May, to sit it outside. And I'll most likely have to acclimate it. I might have to sit it out, in a real shady spot for, say, like an hour, bring it back in. The next day, 2 hours, bring it back in. That's a really tough thing for me to do. I'm busy. I know you're busy. But that's really the best way to kind of bring it outdoors without zapping the leaves, because especially a plant like this, if you just toss it out there in some really harsh sunlight, it's going to get rocked, and you're going to see some burning up, and you're not going to like it. Once again, I would err on the side of caution. It's not a finicky plant, really. I mean, a lot of people think that this is a hard plant to take care of. It's just going to take some know-how. As far as, I really told you about temperatures, but I also would say that extremes above 100, 110 are going to be probably a thing to watch out for, because it's just, most plants really struggle when it's that type of temperature extreme. So really, those are the main things, the humidity, the sunlight, temperature, not really a factor. Just make sure it doesn't get exposed to freezing, or ideally below 50, and don't water it too much. Other than that, you got a great plant. Find an awesome spot for it, which is easy to do because it can take bright light. Make sure it's indirect. Depending on your zone, you might be able to get away with putting it in full sun. It can take it. I just wouldn't press your luck. And low light, you can put this in some low light, and it can. I've had that mine about 10, 12 feet away from my south facing window, with a few kind of like my dinner tables in between the window and the plant, and it's doing just fine. I did move it, and that may be a reason why I lost a couple stems. It might have just gotten shocked from being moved from a somewhat brighter spot to almost like a medium to low light spot. And that could be a cause for concern. But really, experiment around with it. Just try to kind of stick in those guidelines, those parameters, and you'll do just fine. So once again, you've caught me on another edition of Plant Marks the Pot. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for subscribing. We'll see you on the next video where we're going to talk about more tropicals and possibly even some outdoor plants. Stay tuned.